Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Please ensure to like, share, and subscribe. And also click the bell notification in the top right-hand corner to be made aware anytime I upload tutorials or videos to YouTube. All right, let's craft together. Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to use Sublimation HTV, and we're going to be using this Sublimation HTV to actually sublimate onto a 100% cotton t-shirt. So we're going to be using the brand HTV RONT, okay? And we're going to be using their matte Sublimation HTV, the matte color, or the matte, which is the non-glossy. We're going to be using that today. So I'm going to walk you through the complete process. And like I said, we're going to be using a 100% cotton t-shirt to do this process. So stay tuned. All right, guys, here we are inside of Cricut Design Space. And I have uploaded my image that I'm going to be using. And I have my image set at a 9.5 by 9.5 in size, and I'm just going to lock the proportions back here so you can see we have our image. And what we're going to do now, one of the things I like about this HTV RONT Sublimation HTV is that it's going to come with an instruction sheet. It's going to tell you, it's going to give you notes. It's going to tell you all about the cuts. It's going to tell you how to weed. It's going to also tell you if you're using a large heat press or if you're using a HTV RONT heat press or other medium type of heat presses. And it's going to give you all the information you need to know to walk through the process step by step, but it's nothing like a visual. Okay, so I'm going to give you the visual. But if you order this HTV RONT sublimation vinyl, which allows you to sublimate on 100% cotton and light colors, so we're going to be using white today, then you want to make sure that you follow the process. Okay, alrighty, so now that we have our image in here, we have to turn, we're going to duplicate this image, so I'm just going to click on it and select duplicate. So now that we have both of our images, because you're going to need the image that you're going to be sublimating, which is this, and then you're going to need, and that's going to be a print then cut, as you can see here on the right. But we're going to change this one into a cut, and this is going to be our sublimation, HTV sublimation that we're going to put down on our shirt first and heat press it at 200 degrees Celsius for about maybe 10 to 15 seconds, just to get that stuck to our garment. And then we're going to go in and we're going to do this at 200 degrees Celsius, and we're going to heat press this for about 60 seconds on top of our HTV sublimation, or our sublimation HTV. All right, so we're going to change our operation here. But before we do that, let me go ahead. I'm going to hide this for a second just by clicking on the eye here on the right. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to offset this image. So you want to make an offset so that you have a little bit of excess, so that when you put your picture down, you'll have full coverage of your sublimation HTV. And we'll be looking at that here in just a moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to offset, and we're going to have this at about 2 to 5 millimeters. So we are going to, just going to get it right at the 2 here. And that's good. And we're going to go ahead and click apply. All right. So once we get that offset, we can take this image and we can get rid of it. So I'm just going to delete it. And this is going to be our sublimation HTV. So basically what you're going to have, you're going to take I'm going to bring this to the front here for a second. But you're going to take your image, and your image will lay on top of that clear matte sublimation HTV, so that you can't tell it's back there because it's going to be sitting on a white t-shirt. So again, this is for white color t-shirts, not black or dark blue or navy or anything like that. And you'll have this excess so that you'll have enough of the coverage here to make sure that everything is sublimated onto that sublimation HTV. Okay, so you always want to make sure you have that offset. Now you can make this whatever color that you want to make it, um, and that's because it doesn't matter. It only matters what you're not sending anything to the printer. So we're going to change this to a basic cut. Nothing is going to the printer. This is going to be your sublimation HTV. And then, like I said, your image will sit on top of it. But because that sublimation HTV is clear, you won't be able to see it like you can see this gray outline back here. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on Make It. And two things are going to happen here. We're going to have our image that's going to be sent to our printer for this to be printed out. And then we're going to have our other sublimation HTV, which is just going to cut out. We're going to have Cricut to cut this out, and then we're going to have our printer to print this, and then we're going to have Cricut to actually cut it out for us. Now, because I made my image 9.5 by 9.5, then that means I'm going to have to use larger printer paper. So I'm going to be using 11 by 17 because 8.5 will not work. So if you're doing full coverage like I'm going to be doing, then you want to make sure you have a larger size sublimation paper, or you want to downsize your image to the size sublimation paper that you have. Okay, so we're not using regular printer paper here. We're going to be using sublimation paper. Okay, so I'm going to be using the matte size here. I'm just going to say 12 by 24. Well, it's got material size, but we're going to make sure that we click on mirror for both of these. So you're just going to move that little radio dial to the right. So it should be green in color. So we got that one. And we got that one. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get ready to come up on screen. I just want to tell you guys that from this point, you'll be seeing the visual of what I'm doing, but I'm going to actually, her hair looks funny in the reverse here, but we're going to take and we're going to send this to our printer. We're going to have the printer to print it out. It's going to have the registration marks, which is fine because they're not going to be a part of our project. And then we're going to put this on our 12 by 24 mat and have Cricut to cut it out. And then on this one, we're just going to put our HTV or sublimation HTV on our mat, which is actually 12 by 12. We don't need a 12 by 24 for this. And then we're going to have Cricut to cut out this for us. Now, when you have Cricut to cut out your sublimation HTV, you're going to have the shiny side facing down and the matte side is going to be face up, so that when you get ready to do the heat press, the shiny side should be up, and then the matte side, matte look will be facing the back or the front of the shirt. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and come up here. All right, guys. The paper that I'm using is the ASUB 11 by 17. It will be linked in the description of this video tutorial if you would like to purchase it. And I am going to place this with the logo side up inside of my printer, so the logo will be facing up, And we're going to go ahead and get our printer loaded here. I'm going to pop that 11 by 17 inside. The Epson Workforce 7720, it prints up to a 13 by 19. So super large. Okay, got that in there. And it's going to start printing here. Now while that's printing, Cricut was giving me some issues here. This is the HTV RONT sublimation that we're using. It's a 12 by 12 in size, and the instructions that I talked about are here. So it's going to come with an instruction sheet that's going to tell you exactly what to do. And when you get ready to have Cricut to cut this out for you, the glossy side is going to go face down on your mat, and the matte side is going to be upward facing you. So shiny side is going to be facing down on the mat, and the matte side is going to be facing you. Okay, and we're going to have Cricut to cut out the outer side of the image, where we're going to place our image with the colors. That's going to go down on top of that. Okay, so we're going to heat press our garment, our white t-shirt. We're going to heat press it for about 5 to 10 seconds at 200 degrees Celsius. That's just to get out any moisture and wrinkles and things like that. I'm also going to lint roll it before I heat press it. So we'll lint roll it. We'll do a pre-press at 200 degrees Celsius for about 10 to 15 seconds, somewhere in there. Once we do that, we're then going to, pre-press for 5 seconds. And then we're going to take and we're going to put our HTV, Sublimation HTV. We're going to place it down. We're going to heat press that at 200 degrees Celsius for 10 to 15 seconds. Once we get that adhered to the shirt, it's going to be glossy side up to adhere it to the shirt. Once we get that adhered to the shirt, then we are going to take our image and place it on top of the Sublimation HTV. We're then going to press it at 200 degrees Celsius for about 60 seconds, and then we'll be done. Now, your Sublimation HTV is a cold peel. So before you peel that off, you're going to let it cool down. The when we put our image on and sublimate it, it is a warm peel. So we can just peel that off without any issues. Okay, so I'm going to place this on my 12 by 24 mat, and sublimation is always going to look dull when it comes out of your sublimation printer. You want to try not to touch this because the ink is wet and you can get ink on these areas, and then you'll look at your garment and you'll say, why do I have these little ink smears on here? Well, it came from you touching the ink on your after your image came out. So I'm going to put this on my 12 by 24 mat. I'm going to use some painter's tape to help me hold it in place. You want to make sure that your registration marks are on here because Cricut is going to be looking for those to determine where to place your cuts. And I hope I did a thing where it doesn't cut out my earrings, because I put these earrings on here from Cricut, guys. These earrings were not a part of the image, and I'm not sure if I adhered them, so I might end up earringless. But we will see. Now, I do want to say you can cut this out yourself. You don't have to put it in Cricut and have Cricut to cut it out for you. You can cut it yourself, but that's why I bought a Cricut, so that I don't have to manually cut, and so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm placing some painter's tape on my image because it is not, this green mat has seen its days, so it's not super sticky. So there we have it, and you want to make sure you put it in the same direction that Cricut shows you on your laptop or your computer, you want to have the image going in the same direction. So do not cut these away from your image, okay, before you put it into your cutting machine. So we're going to go ahead and put this into our cutting machine. I'm going to be using cardstock for intricate cuts. That's the material setting that I'm going to be using because I'm using paper, and so I don't need a lot of pressure from Cricut. So let me go over to Cricut, and I'm going to select cardstock for intricate cuts, and I'm going to put my blade back in here because I was using the rotary blade for something. So I'm going to swap out blades and put the fine point back in. Alright, got that. And Cricut is now ready to receive my mat. Don't forget, guys, when you get ready to print this out, you want to mirror both the sublimation image and you also want to mirror the sublimation HTV image. Both of those should be mirrored in Cricut Design Space. And I'm saying that because I've had some issues, so I've chopped this video up a couple of times, and I just want to make sure that you get all the details. So I'm going to try to turn this around so you guys can see here. And this is just my t-shirt. So Cricut is looking for those black registration marks, guys. You can see it's stopping and it's doing the little area where the black marks are. So it's looking for the registration marks. We are going to be sublimating. This process I'm showing you is for white t-shirts, 100% cotton, and so that's what we're going to be sublimating on top of. So we're using the Sublimation HTV, which allows us to be able to sublimate onto this cotton t-shirt. Now this is my first time using HTV RONT, so I'm going to be sharing my experience with you guys as I go through the process. So I'm just holding my hand on my image because my mat is not super sticky and it just pushed my image up at the very top, so I'm going to have to try to push it back down before it gets back up there. Oh Lord, it has ripped my image, y'all. Oh God, I have had a time today, y'all. Y'all just don't know. I have had a time today. I think I salvaged it. So you guys can see there. And I did attach my earrings, so all is well. Alright, so now this is going to be face down on top of your Sublimation HTV. That is what's going to allow this to adhere to your white cotton t-shirt. Okay, so just put that out there. So we're going to just place this to the side, and we're now going to go back to Cricut, and we're going to have Cricut to now cut out our Sublimation HTV. So I'm going to go back over to Cricut, and we're now going to change this material from intricate cardstock, and let me see if they have the setting here. They tell us what setting to use on these instructions, just to be on the safe side. Give me one moment here. Let's see. Alright guys, according to the instructions, they give you the instructions for Cricut or Silhouette on here. So it says that we're going to use the pressure at default. We're using our fine point blade, and our settings are on vinyl. So I've selected vinyl for this. So we're going to see if it cuts like it's supposed to. So again, your shiny side goes down. The matte side is the cut side. This is the side that's going to be facing you. We're going to go ahead and place that on our smaller 12 by 24, a 12 by 12 mat. Now this is going to, Cricut is now going to go in and just cut out that border of the image, the outline of the image for us. So let's get this spot on. All right, just make sure we got that nice and stuck to our mat. This one has a little stickiness to it, but I still don't trust Cricut. I'm always got my hand on it, holding everything in place. All right, so Cricut is now just going to cut out that outline for us. So again, we're going to pre-press. Before we pre-press our shirt, we're going to lint roll it. Anytime you do any type of sublimation, you should lint roll your garment first. So we're going to lint roll it. After we lint roll it, we're going to do a pre-press on the t-shirt for about 5 seconds. 200 degrees, 5 seconds. 200 degrees Celsius, 5 seconds. Then we're going to take and put down our Sublimation HTV on our shirt, and we are going to press it at 200 degrees Celsius for about 10 to 15 seconds. That's just to adhere the Sublimation HTV to the shirt. Once we get that adhered to the shirt, then we're going to take our image, put it on top, laying face down, and we're going to heat press that using firm pressure for 60 seconds at 200 degrees Celsius. So I'm just feeling to make sure I feel a cut on this thing. And it may just be me, but I really don't feel a cut. So I'm going back in one more time. I know it said to cut it on default, but unless my hands are just crazy, I'm not really feeling the cut, and I don't want to take any chances, so I'm putting it through twice just to be on the safe side. Man, that rain is really coming down, and it really makes me want to go to sleep. And I'm driving to Atlanta in the morning, so I'm hoping that this weather, goes through so that I can get on the road in the morning. I'm going home to see my family. All right. Let's take a look-see. All right, it looked like it cut. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to go in. Let me see if it cut through. It didn't. So we're going to weed out the part that we don't need. We're going to weed that out, which is going to be the outer edge. And then we're going to keep the inside. So we're going to be weeding the excess around here away. And they do tell you that you should use your Cricut tools. Let's see if I got my little weeder here. So I'm going to try to see if I can pull up. There we go. Perfect. So we're going to weed away the part that we don't need. So you guys can see how it's weeding away. And we should be left with just our border only. And I know some of you like to save everything. I don't really think you can save this, but if you do and you found a purpose for it, let me know. But mine is going in the trash. Okay, so now we're going to take this. You can see we just have our outline. We weeded away the excess, and it weeds very, very easily. So we'll pull this up. And now, when we lay it down to press it, after we press it on our shirt, it'll be like this. And then we'll take our image, and our image will lay face down after we press this onto our shirt. After we tack it, our image will go on top so that we can sublimate it. Okay. All right, guys, let's go to the heat press and let's finish up this process. It's hot in here. I need to turn my air on. I look like I've been working out. All right, guys, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to lint roll our shirt. And you're just basically lint rolling where your image is going to be. This is a V-neck shirt, so I'm not coming 3 to 4 inches down from the neckline. I'm going to start right up at that V mark. That's the difference between a round scoop neck and a V-neck. After you lint roll it, we're going to pre-press it for about 5 seconds. That's just to get out any moisture and everything in the shirt. And then once this hits 200 degrees Celsius, we're then going to do tack on our Sublimation HTV. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, we are going to get ready to do our Sublimation HTV. So I changed the angle of my camera so you could see better. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to heat press this for about 20 seconds at 200 degrees Celsius. And then we're going to let it cool down, and then we'll do our sublimation part. Okay, so this is putting down the Sublimation HTV, which will allow us to be able to sublimate on 100% cotton. Okay, so we're going to go for about 20 seconds. All right, I'm going to let this cool down, and then we'll put our image on top of it face down, and we'll get ready to sublimate it. So we're going to let it cool down. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and peel off. And the thing I like about this so far is that you can kind of sort of see where the HTV Sublimation HTV is. So you'll know exactly where to place your sublimation image. Okay. So we're now going to place our sublimation image on top of the Sublimation HTV, and you want to make sure you have it all inside of the outline. I'm going to get some tape. This is just to help hold it in place so we don't end up with any type of ghosting. And we're going to press this for 60 seconds. All right, I'll come back when I'm about 5 minutes out. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take off the image now so we can see what we have. And remember, this part is a warm peel, so you don't have to let this part cool down. Oh, it turned out beautiful. It turned out really pretty. And it feels soft, guys. Go ahead and turn this off. And then I'm going to go back over to my computer just so you can see it. All right, y'all. I can't wait for y'all to see this HTV RONT Sublimation HTV. Look at that. It turned out so pretty. I wish y'all could really be here to see it up close and personal, because it actually looks like the lady is actually on the shirt. It just looked like I'm looking at her face. Oh my God, it's so pretty. There's no lines. God, y'all gotta see this. Look at that. Can y'all see that? Look how pretty that is. All right, Sublimation HTV allows you to be able to sublimate on 100% cotton. And this, y'all, is gorgeous. And it's soft. It's so soft to the touch. I love it. And because we're using the Sublimation HTV, you can't hardly see because it's clear. You can't even see that outline. Y'all see that? Look at that. It turned out so pretty. I'm so happy with these results. All right, Sublimation HTV by HTV RONT allows you to sublimate on 100% cotton. They do recommend if you're using an image that is very detailed with little pieces and parts that are not connected, that you use some type of transfer sheet to pick up the image off of your mat. Me, on the other hand, I wanted to keep it simple, and so that's why I went with an image that was just all adhered. I want to thank Amelia Sue Hedges for the unbothered period. She won our contest for a phrase that I could put on this coffee mug. And so if you guys can see, we got unbothered period. Okay, on our coffee mug. So I will be wearing this in the meetings, sitting there like this. All right, guys. So just quickly, I'm going to go over the information with you guys on what I did because remember I said the information will be in the packet on the instructions will be in the packet, but sometimes just the visual will help you answer those questions that you may have when you're looking at the instructions and no one there to talk to. So I just want to run briefly through what I did. So I selected an image that I created in Discord Midjourney, uploaded that image into Cricut Design Space. This image is a 9 by 5 by 9 9.5 by 9.5, and I did that because the HTV sublimation sublimation HTV. I just can't say sublimation HTV for some reason. I keep wanting to say HTV sublimation. The sublimation HTV is a 12 by 12. So if you know Cricut, you have to stay for a 12 by 12, you have to stay in the realm of 11.5 by 11.5. So if I did this at 9.5 and then had my sublimation HTV part at 2 inches or 2 millimeters above what Cricut will allow, then that can get everything, in there without any issues. Okay, so that put us really close to our 11.5 by 11.5 mark, so to speak. Okay, and then once you want to make sure you mirror both your sublimation image and your sublimation HTV border. Both of those should be mirrored. You're going to put, when you put this down on the mat, you're going to put the glossy side down on the mat and the matte side should be facing you. And then you're going to cut it. I did 2 cuts instead of just default. I did 2 cuts, which seemed to work because it weeded very easily. And then after we did that, I used sublimation paper, 11 by 17. And then when we went to the printer, I lint rolled my shirt first. So you want to lint roll anytime you're doing sublimation. So I lint rolled the shirt first. With the V-necks, you don't come down 4 fingers, 3 or 4 fingers from the top. You start right at that V. Okay. So I pre-pressed this for 5 seconds at the 200 degrees Celsius, and then I went back in and adhered the sublimation HTV. I did 20 seconds at 200 degrees Celsius and then did a cool peel. Once I did that, I put my sublimation image face down on top of the sublimation HTV, adhered it with some heat tape so that it wouldn't shift, and then pressed it for 60 seconds at 200 degrees Celsius. I did use parchment paper each time on top of the sublimation HTV and then on top of the sublimation image. Okay, so I did use parchment paper, and that's it. The sublimation image is a warm peel. The sublimation HTV is a cold peel. Okay, there you go, guys. Absolutely beautiful. No lines or anything. I mean, it's like the lady is standing in front of me. I wish you guys could see it up close and personal like I'm doing it, because this looked like the lady. Like I created her and she's in living color in person. All right. So that's it, guys. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. If you're currently in my Facebook group, Ken Dorsey's Cricut and Creative Crafters, thank you guys for so much for following me via Facebook. If you would like to join my group, it will be linked in the description of this video tutorial. All you have to do is click on the link for Ken Dorsey's Cricut and Creative Crafters and agree to the Facebook group rules, and we'll get you in. Also, if you're currently subscribed to my YouTube channel, I want to thank you guys so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. I love and appreciate you guys so much. I love communicating with you. So always leave me comments, guys. Let me know what you really liked about the video tutorial. If you have tips that you want to share via the comments, I love those as well. I get some really great tips that I pass along. If you're seeing me for the first time and you like my method of teaching, I have over 400 video tutorials on my YouTube channel. And just check my playlist. I've tried to categorize things to make it easier for you to find. But if you like my method of teaching, guys, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right? All right, guys, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. This is HTV RONT on Sublimation HTV. Absolutely highly recommend this process, okay? This is for white only. 100% cotton. This is not for dark colors. Okay, just want to put that out there. Not for dark colors, guys. And yeah, that's it. And you guys know my motto is each one reach one so that each one can teach one, guys. And hey, I'm about to enjoy this rain and get some sleep before I hit this road to Atlanta. All right, have an amazing day, guys. Bye.